30-year-old Prashant is written in from Hyderabad. He tells us he has an income of 56,000 rupees. Dhirendra, he doesn't have a single investment product. So he has a lot of things that he's chalked out, like what he wants for his retirement, what he wants to invest for his child's future. Some money is going into his PPF, but he has nothing as far as an investment corpus is concerned. It's not too late for him to start off. Where would you recommend he starts off, and how can he take those first baby steps?
So I would say it's very important to follow the first few principles, which is invest regularly. Don't invest, you have 6 lakh rupees worth of savings in your account and you'll be tempted to participate, and in a rising market there'll be far greater temptation. Don't do that. Spread your investment over a period of time, more so because you are getting started for the first time. The other is, if you good that you have been able to articulate your goals very sharply, that this is the money, you need an allocation for your child's education, you need for your own retirement, things like that. So if you can slot them, have different separate portfolios to some extent, maybe similar funds, have some kind of mental allocation that of the 10,000 rupees going into this much is for this goal, this much is for this goal.
He has written in saying he has a very low risk appetite and he doesn't want too much exposure to the volatility of the equity markets. So this obviously we need to give him a portfolio that fits that risk profile. What would you recommend he start with among our portfolios?
I would say that, our stable growth portfolio or our conservative portfolio, that is a worst case scenario. That will be a huge compromise on return if he is investing for next 10 years. If he sticks to his statement that he is absolutely risk averse, still he should take that conservative allocation, because and that is also not risk free in a sense that it will have 20 to 30% into fixed income and into equity.
Alright, Prashant, Dhirendra, they're advising you to take up a little more risk if you can make yourself comfortable with it. If you can't, our conservative portfolio is on your screen right now. My personal advice: start as soon as possible. You've waited far too long already. Dhirendra, we have another question from 33-year-old Suresh, who writes in from Chennai. He tells us he invested in the Birla Sun Life Tax Relief 96 from 2007 to 2009. He tells us the fund or his investment is currently showing a 40% loss. He wants to know if he should exit that fund and what funds he should be investing in once he exits from that fund. What would you recommend he does? What's your view on this fund right now?
No, this has proved to be an extremely disappointing fund. It was, earlier a blockbuster, and this is a fund which has generated record amount of, profits and returns in its initial years. But, what we have seen in 2011 and in 2008, that this fund falls freely in a falling market. This fund in ordinary times does just as well. But in bad times, it does far too poorly than most other funds in its category relative to index. So I would say that if you are through with the lock-in period, get out of this fund.
Let's move on to our hold or sell segment. Chidananda has written in, Dhirendra, he wants to build a retirement corpus of 1 crore rupees in 10 years and also put together another corpus of 25 lakh rupees for his daughter's marriage in 5 years. He wants to know which of these funds he should hold on to and which he should sell in order to meet those goals. I'm going to take them in groups because it's a very interesting portfolio. First up on his list, he has Fidelity Equity, HDFC Equity and HDFC Top 200. Now between these three, does he need to have all three of them in the same portfolio?
Yes, he can, given the time frame, he can do without the HDFC Top 200. Likewise, he should be little alert about the Fidelity Equity because there is going to be change, and he should just be watchful.
Alright, the other funds on his list, Reliance Vision and Reliance Banking. Now, banking has been doing well over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but would you recommend he has a specific sector exposure in his portfolio? He has a 10-year horizon.
A portfolio like this, which has to be passively run, and one is gradually investing, you should ideally avoid any sectoral fund or thematic fund, and for that reason you should keep away from this banking fund. Reliance Vision, for its poor performance, you should keep away.
The Morgan Stanley ACE Fund and Morgan Stanley Growth are the next on his list, Dhirendra. Between the two of them, would you recommend he hangs on to both?
Morgan Stanley ACE is an impressive fund, and it's a very high quality fund and a relatively new fund. Morgan Stanley Growth Fund, I think it has been a long-term underperformer. There was a case at one point about 5 years back, 6 years back, when it was listed, when it was available at a discount. Since then, no, not at all. It is relatively, it's a poorly performing cousin of this fund, and one shouldn't have it.
Next on his list, Franklin India Prima Plus, Franklin India Blue Chip and Franklin India Flexi Cap. Of the three funds, we know Blue Chip and Prima Plus are very impressive, but can he notch down the number of funds he has in his portfolio? Would you recommend he hangs on to all three?
No, I think he should do only with, he should just be with Franklin Prima Plus. Because Prima Plus is about 60% Blue Chip and 40% Prima, which is a mid-cap allocation. So he's getting all of it in a neat package, easy to monitor, and credible performance history, more consistent performance. So he can do without, Franklin Flexi Cap as well as Franklin Blue Chip.
All right, last on his list is Reliance Gold Savings. Now, he hasn't told us how much he's putting in this fund, Dhirendra, but would you like to give him a ceiling on that gold investment, maybe 5 or 10% of his total portfolio?
Given that, goal and Indian investors' goal and accumulating a daughter's wedding and accumulating your savings and being able to ride the gold prices, it might be a good idea. If you're thinking in terms of exchanging it with the gold, real gold, 10 years from now, and then converting it into jewelry, that's fine. But if it is an opportunistic thing, if he has just, getting carried by the recent momentum in gold prices, that's a very dangerous thing. He should do with checks and balances. He should have his stop loss. He should have his profit goals, and he should be disciplined about it.
Chidananda, that's your portfolio looked at by Dhirendra Kumar. Remember, you can send in your portfolios as well. Email IDs are at the bottom of the screen. Dhirendra, thank you so much for spending time with us on Investors Guide.